They don't fear your fists, they don't fear your money, they fear your mind. Because once you master your inner world, nothing and no one can control you. If your thoughts are undisciplined, your life will be chaotic. But if your mind is forged like steel, your presence will silence rooms. This isn't motivational fluff. This is war, a mental war. And I'm here to give you the 12 Stoic strategies that will make your mind unshakable, so powerful, so calm, so dangerous, that it will terrify the weak and command respect from the strong. Get ready, because once you adopt these principles, there's no turning back. Please help spread this ancient wisdom to more people. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, and drop a comment below. It's just one click. These thoughts could inspire or help someone else on their journey. Together, we can make a difference. Number 1, kill the noise. Silence is a weapon. You want to build a mind so strong it terrifies people? Then listen closely, because most won't. That's the problem. They don't listen. They react. They consume. They fill every second of their day with noise, with distraction, with the screaming static of a world that thrives on making you weak. They drown in podcasts they never apply, scroll through feeds that rot their attention span, flood their minds with headlines, outrage, gossip, and nonsense, and then wonder why their thoughts are chaotic, their focus shattered, and their confidence non-existent. You don't build an indestructible mind in noise. You don't build mental dominance in distraction. You build it in silence, in the space most people run from. Because silence isn't just peace, it's war. A silent war where your only opponent is you, your weakness, your habits, your fear, the truth you've been avoiding. That's why people hate silence. Not because it's boring, but because it's honest. It shows you who you really are when the noise is gone, and most can't handle that reflection. But if you can sit still in solitude and face the storm inside you, you start to gain power most will never touch. Let me be direct. Until you eliminate the noise, you will never control your mind. You will be pulled, manipulated, tired, confused, distracted. You will wake up with no clarity, go to bed with no peace, and live in a permanent fog. The world will own your attention, and once they have that, they have you. Your mind is your battlefield, and the noise is the enemy's weapon. So kill it, not later, not tomorrow, now. Cut it off, not partially, not sometimes, completely. Turn off the notifications, walk away from meaningless conversations. Stop consuming what doesn't sharpen you. Stop absorbing what doesn't challenge you. Do you understand what you're doing to your brain by letting it be constantly overstimulated? You're training yourself to be passive. You're destroying your ability to sit, to think, to plan, to lead. You're eroding the very power that separates you from the herd. A mind that can't be alone is a mind that's owned by others. And a man who can't be alone with his thoughts is never truly free. I don't care how smart you are, how ambitious, how skilled. If your mind is a slave to noise, you will break. The moment pressure hits, the moment chaos shows up, you will search for escape. You won't go inward because you've never trained there. You'll go outward and you'll drown. But when you kill the noise, you create space. Space for thinking, for clarity, for stillness, for strategy. That space becomes your fortress. It becomes your power. You stop reacting and start moving with cold precision. People start to notice. They feel something different when you enter a room. You're not frantic. You're not desperate. You don't rush to speak. You don't jump to explain. You sit, you observe, you wait, and when you act, every move is deliberate. That's terrifying to the undisciplined, because they can't predict you. They can't manipulate you. You become unreadable, untouchable, unshakable. That's the power of silence. It sharpens the blade. It gives birth to presence. It teaches control. People will start asking, what's different about you? They'll feel the shift before they understand it. And that's the point. You don't need to convince anyone of your strength. You embody it, quietly, consistently. That's when you become dangerous. Because in a world addicted to attention, your indifference becomes power. In a culture that rewards noise, your silence becomes rebellion. And in a sea of weak minds constantly distracted, your focus becomes lethal. This is not about being peaceful, it's about being lethal. Calm and lethal, unflinching, unmoved. And it all starts with one decision: to kill the noise, to take responsibility for your input, to guard your mind like a warrior guards a king. Because that's what your mind is, the king of your life. And if you let anyone or anything invade it, rule it, poison it, then you are no king, you are a servant to chaos. So take back the throne. Build a mind that rules, not reacts, that leads, not follows, that observes, not obsesses. And that starts right here, right now, with silence, with killing the noise. Not just for 5 minutes of meditation. I'm talking about a lifestyle, a mindset, a code. One that refuses to let the world dictate your mental state. One that builds steel in your soul. One that terrifies those who haven't done the work. Because they'll sense it in you, this stillness, this depth, this calm intensity, and it will shake them. Because you've done what they're afraid to do. You've faced yourself, you've embraced the quiet, and you've built your strength in the dark. When they see you walk in silence while they scream for attention, they'll know. When they watch you remain calm in storms that break others, they'll know. When they realize that nothing owns you anymore, not the phone, not the noise, not the outside world, they'll know. You've become the thing they fear most. A man with a mind of his own. Unshaken, undistracted, unleashed. So go ahead, kill the noise, let the silence speak, and let the world watch you rise, in stillness, in control. In terrifying focused power. Number 2, stop explaining. Live so precisely they have nothing to question. Stop explaining. Stop justifying your every move, every action, every decision. If you want to build a mind so strong it terrifies people, you must live so precisely, so undeniably powerful, that there's nothing left to question. No one should need to ask you why you did something. No one should be able to pick apart your decisions, to poke holes in your resolve. Your actions must be so decisive, so unshakable, so certain that the mere thought of challenging you is laughable. Right now, you may be in the habit of over-explaining yourself. You may find yourself giving reasons for why you made this choice, or why you took that action. Constantly defending your every move. Stop. This is a sign of weakness, of insecurity. It's a sign that you're not fully owning your decisions. If you have to explain, if you have to justify, if you have to lay out every reason for everything you do, then it means you don't fully believe in your own power. It means you're trying to win approval, trying to get others to understand you, trying to make them see your worth. But let me be clear, no one owes you their approval, and you should never seek it. Stop explaining. People are watching, and they don't need to hear your excuses, your justifications, or your reasoning. They need to see the results. They need to see the confidence in your actions, the clarity in your movements, the focus in your eyes. They need to feel the power of your presence, and that comes from living with absolute precision, with a mind that's unbreakable, unstoppable. You're not here to ask for permission, and you're not here to beg for understanding. You're here to take what's yours. Your decisions should be so final, so clear, that no one even questions them. When you step into a room, your presence should command respect without a single word. When you make a move, it should be so calculated, so deliberate, so unstoppable that no one even considers challenging you. Your actions, your life, should speak louder than anything you could ever say. So stop explaining. Live with such purpose, such precision, such power, that no one can question your decisions. When you live with unshakable confidence, when you move with deliberate force, when you are so sure of who you are and what you're doing, there is no room for doubt. There is no room for anyone to question you. You will no longer feel the need to explain yourself, because the results speak for themselves. Stop explaining because you don't need anyone's permission to live your truth. You don't need to justify why you are taking the actions that you are. Your life should be an example of your power, not a series of excuses or explanations. People will begin to follow you, not because you begged them to, but because they see the certainty in your actions, the power in your decisions, and the unwavering conviction that runs through you. Stop wasting time justifying yourself. Start living with such force that no one can ignore you, no one can question you, and no one can dare to stand in your way. This is how you build a mind so strong that it terrifies people. When you stop explaining, you take ownership of every decision you make. You show the world that you are the master of your destiny, the architect of your own fate. You are not a victim of circumstances, and you're not here to make excuses. You are here to dominate, to take action, and to lead with absolute certainty. Your actions should be so precise, so intentional, that they leave no room for doubt. You should never be uncertain. You should never hesitate. The strength of your mind comes from knowing exactly what you want and knowing exactly how to get it. Stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Stop apologizing. Stop justifying. Stop explaining. You are not a child seeking approval. You are a force, a presence, a person of power. Your decisions should not be questioned, and your actions should never need an explanation. If someone doesn't understand you, it's because they're not on your level. If someone questions you, it's because they don't have the courage to live the way you do. They don't have the strength to make decisions with the same confidence that you do. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to explain yourself. You need to keep moving forward, keep conquering, keep dominating. Your mind must be a fortress, and you must be the unyielding force that stands at the gates. You cannot afford to waste your time or energy explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision. You cannot afford to weaken your resolve by trying to make others see things your way. You must stand firm in your convictions, and you must live in such a way that no one dares to question you. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your power. You stop being a slave to other people's opinions, other people's expectations, and other people's judgments. You take full control of your life and you act with purpose. You don't need to justify your every move because your actions are so powerful, so deliberate, that they leave no room for doubt. You don't need to ask for permission. You don't need to beg for understanding. You don't need to explain. You just need to act. And when you act with such power that the world has no choice but to watch in awe. This is the mind you must build. This is the mind that terrifies people. Stop explaining. Live in such a way that your actions speak louder than any words you could ever say. Let your life be the proof of your power, and let your mind be the weapon that drives you forward. You're not here to explain. You're here to dominate. You're here to leave a legacy. And you're here to make the world bow to your will. Stop explaining. Start living so precisely that they have nothing to question. The time to rise is now. Your mind must be strong, your actions must be clear, and you must be relentless in your pursuit of power. Live with such precision, such certainty, such force that there's nothing left to doubt. This is how you build a mind so strong, it terrifies people. Number 3, get ruthlessly selective about input. In a world drowning in noise, you must become ruthlessly selective about the input you allow into your mind. The world is full of distractions, of opinions, of information that serves no purpose other than to steal your focus, your energy, and your potential. You have no time to waste on irrelevant chatter. The world doesn't care about your excuses, your distractions, or your inability to focus. If you allow the wrong information in, if you let every opinion, every bit of gossip, every distraction seep into your mind, you are dooming yourself to mediocrity. There's no room for weakness in your mind. There's no room for mental clutter, for unnecessary noise. You are on a mission to build something monumental within yourself. And in order to do that, you must control what enters your mind with the precision of a warrior, selecting only the tools that will help him win the battle. You cannot afford to let the irrelevant consume your focus. The media, the opinions of others, the noise of the world, these are the things that will dull your edge. They will prevent you from seeing clearly. They will rob you of your mental clarity and your ability to make decisive, bold moves. Every time you let a useless piece of information in, you weaken your resolve, you dilute your focus, and you give away your power. But make no mistake, you are in charge of what enters your mind. You are the gatekeeper. You get to decide what you allow in. And the time to get ruthless about that decision is now. Stop consuming content that has no value. Stop listening to people who only drag you down, who drain your energy, and who never challenge you to be better. The mind is a battlefield, and you are the soldier who must defend it. You wouldn't let an enemy into your home, so why let an enemy into your mind? You wouldn't leave the door to your house wide open for anyone to come in and disrupt your life. So why leave your mind open to the endless stream of distractions and irrelevant noise? You are not here to consume everything that comes your way. You are here to build something great, something terrifying. And you cannot afford to waste a single moment on distractions. Every minute you spend on nonsense is a minute you're not spending on sharpening your focus, on improving yourself, on getting closer to your goal. Your mind must be a fortress, and you must guard it fiercely. You must be selective about what you allow in, because what you feed your mind is what you become. If you let negativity in, you become negative. If you let mediocrity in, you become mediocre. If you let weakness in, you become weak. Your mind is the foundation of everything you are. It shapes your actions, your decisions, your future. If you fill it with garbage, your life will be filled with garbage. But if you fill it with wisdom, clarity, and strength, you will become unstoppable. Understand this. You are what you think about. The input you allow into your mind shapes everything about you. You don't have time to waste on frivolous, shallow information. You don't have time to be surrounded by people who are too small-minded to help you grow. If someone isn't challenging you, isn't pushing you to think deeper, isn't holding you to the highest standards, cut them out. Be ruthless. And make no mistake, you must hold yourself to the highest standards as well. Don't waste your own time. Don't let your own thoughts drift toward mediocrity or complacency. You must become as intentional with your thoughts as you are with your actions. The world will try to bombard you with noise. It will throw distractions at you from all directions. It will tell you that you need to know everything, that you need to hear everyone's opinion, that you need to keep up with the latest trends and the latest gossip. But none of that matters. None of it. All that matters is your mission. All that matters is the vision you have for yourself and the relentless pursuit of that vision. If what enters your mind isn't helping you get closer to that vision, then it has no place in your life. If it doesn't challenge you, if it doesn't move you forward, if it doesn't help you grow, cut it out and do it now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. The urgency is real. Time is slipping away. Every second that passes is a second you can never get back. Every moment you waste on irrelevant input is a moment you've lost forever. This is your life, and you only have so much time to make something of it. You can't afford to let distractions steal that time. You can't afford to let the noise of the world drown out your focus. You must stay in control. You must decide what matters and what doesn't. You must be ruthless with what you allow into your mind. If it doesn't challenge you, if it doesn't elevate you, if it doesn't push you to be better, then get rid of it. Be relentless in your pursuit of greatness. Be relentless in your quest for mental clarity, for mental strength, for mental toughness. You cannot afford to be anything less. You cannot afford to be distracted by the noise of the world, by the opinions of others, by the empty chatter that fills up space in your mind and your life. Cut it out. Get ruthless. Get selective. This is how you build a mind so strong it terrifies people. This is how you become the person who stands tall in the face of adversity. This is how you become the person who is so focused, so determined, so relentless that nothing and no one can shake you. Your mind is yours to control. Own it. Protect it. Be ruthless with what you allow in. You are building something powerful, and every bit of input you take in must serve that purpose. Anything less is a waste of your time. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Train in hell so life feels easy. You've heard it before, but have you really internalized what that means? To truly build a mind so strong it terrifies people, you must learn to thrive in the crucible of voluntary discomfort. Stop running from pain. Stop seeking ease, convenience, and comfort in every corner of your life. Comfort will destroy you. It will make you weak, fragile, and predictable. The world does not care about your comfort. It will not pause for your convenience. Life does not offer you a soft landing. It forces you to face chaos, uncertainty, and hardship. And if you're unprepared, if you're not hardened, it will crush you. But here's the key. You can control the level of discomfort you face. You can decide how hard you will train. You can put yourself through hell so that the normal challenges of life feel like a walk in the park. What you fail to realize is that the best version of yourself, the one that commands respect, that elicits awe from others, can only emerge through the fires of voluntary discomfort. You must seek it out, not avoid it. You must embrace it, not retreat from it. The pain is where your power lies. When you endure suffering, When you challenge yourself to confront the worst, you transform into something unstoppable. Every ounce of discomfort you choose to endure chips away at the weakness inside of you and molds you into a force that is immune to fear, weakness, and hesitation. No one will respect you if they see you as soft. No one will take you seriously if you've never suffered. It's easy to judge others when you've never walked through hell yourself. But those who've lived through the storms, those who've faced adversity and come out stronger, they command the room. They carry an aura of strength that cannot be faked. When you voluntarily push yourself into difficult situations, you build a mind so resilient that it becomes unshakable. The more discomfort you embrace, the less life will be able to throw at you that can break you. Hard times won't faze you because you've trained yourself to thrive in the worst of them. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid it at all costs. They seek out the easiest path, the quickest route to success, the smoothest ride. They don't understand that this is where they go wrong. The easy path doesn't create warriors, it creates the weak. The smooth ride doesn't build strength, it builds mediocrity. You must intentionally seek discomfort in every area of your life. You must push your body, your mind, your spirit to the limits. Train like a beast. Put yourself through challenges that force you to question your own limits. Do hard things every day. Make it a habit. Do something difficult, something that makes you uncomfortable, something that forces you to grow. This is the mentality of the unstoppable. When you look discomfort in the eye and say, "Bring it on," you show the world that you are not afraid. You are not weak. You are not fragile. You are an unstoppable force, a person who will not be bent, will not be broken, and will not be moved. Your mind becomes like steel. No matter what life throws at you, you've already faced worse in your training. Your body becomes a weapon. Your spirit becomes unbreakable. Every ounce of pain you endure, every challenge you overcome, strengthens your will and hardens your resolve. You will not crumble when things get tough, because you've been toughened. You've conditioned yourself to take the blows, to face the discomfort, to stand tall in the face of adversity. The difference between a person who crumbles and a person who rises is not talent or luck. It's their ability to handle discomfort. It's their ability to handle pain. And that's why you must seek it out. Stop looking for the easy way. Stop looking for the quick fix. Seek the long road. Seek the uncomfortable path. Seek the challenges that will force you to grow. You want to build a mind that terrifies people? Then make discomfort your constant companion. Train your mind in the harshest environments, where failure is an option and where success is earned, not given. Do not wait for life to throw hardship at you. You take the initiative. You go to battle with yourself. You seek the hell that will forge your character. You voluntarily expose yourself to difficulty so that when the real challenges of life come, you're already prepared. When you stop running from discomfort, when you stop avoiding pain, you free yourself from the shackles of weakness. You stop depending on outside circumstances to determine how strong you are. You decide. You take charge. And you become the strongest version of yourself. When life tests you, and it will test you, you won't flinch. You won't be caught off guard. You'll look at it, smile, and say, "This is nothing." And that will terrify people. When others see you enduring what would break them, when they see you handling discomfort with ease, when they see you thriving in adversity, they will feel a respect they cannot ignore. They will feel awe at your resilience, and they will understand that you are not to be messed with. This is the power of voluntary discomfort. This is the power of hardening your mind, your body, and your spirit. This is how you build a mind so strong it terrifies people. It's not about avoiding the struggle, it's about embracing it. It's not about running from discomfort, it's about charging straight into it and coming out stronger on the other side. You are the architect of your own strength. You are the creator of your own destiny. And that destiny begins when you decide to stop avoiding discomfort and start seeking it out. Pain will no longer be your enemy. It will be your greatest ally. And as you embrace it, you will find your strength, your power, your mind growing stronger by the day. This is how you build a mind so strong it terrifies people. Please help spread this ancient wisdom to more people. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, and drop a comment below. It's just one click. These thoughts could inspire or help someone else on their journey. Together, we can make a difference. Number 5. Detach from praise and blame. They're both addictions. You are at war with yourself every day. This world wants to pull you into a never-ending cycle of validation and judgment. The applause, the praise, the compliments, they seduce you, make you feel like you've arrived, like you're worthy of admiration. They hold you in a grip that feels good, but don't be deceived. They're a lie. They will ruin you. At the same time, the blame, the criticism, the judgment from others, those barbs that sting and cut deep, they don't deserve a place in your life either. The praise and the blame, they come at you like a relentless wave, pushing you this way and that, leaving you vulnerable and broken. A strong mind, a mind that terrifies, is not swayed by either. It remains unshaken in the face of praise and unbroken in the face of blame. When you learn to detach from both, you unlock the power of true freedom. Praise is an addiction, and if you allow yourself to indulge in it, you become a slave to it. Every time someone praises you, every time someone lifts you up, you feel it. It's intoxicating. It feels like a drug, and once you've tasted it, you crave it. But here's the brutal truth. Praise is nothing more than an illusion. It's temporary, fleeting, and hollow. When you start depending on praise to fuel your sense of worth, you give away your power. You give away your strength. You become trapped in a cycle of needing others to acknowledge you, to validate you, to tell you that you are good enough. And that, my friend, is the path to weakness. The second you let someone's praise define you, you stop defining yourself. You lose your independence. You stop making decisions for yourself. You stop acting on your own principles. Instead, you act to keep the praise flowing, to please others, to gain their approval. You're no longer acting from a place of power. You're acting out of desperation. And the worst part is, it never ends. You will always need more praise, more validation, more recognition. You will never be satisfied. And you will become more and more dependent on it until you are nothing but a puppet to the whims of others. The strongest minds in the world don't need the approval of others. They don't care if anyone praises them or acknowledges their achievements. They don't need a pat on the back, they don't need applause, they only need one thing, their own sense of purpose. When you detach from praise, you detach from the lie that your worth comes from the approval of others. You become free. You stop seeking validation, and instead, you become a source of validation for yourself. You stop needing anyone to tell you that you're good enough, because you already know it. Your strength no longer comes from the applause of the crowd. It comes from the certainty within yourself that you are enough, regardless of what anyone else thinks. And then, there's the other side of the coin. Blame. It's just as addictive and it's just as dangerous. When someone blames you, accuses you, or criticizes you, your first instinct might be to fight back, to justify yourself, to defend your honor. But that too is a trap. Blame is another form of manipulation. It takes your power and puts it in someone else's hands. It makes you react, makes you feel guilty or angry, makes you fight for your innocence. It forces you to play a game that's not yours to win. When you allow blame to consume you, you give your peace, your strength, your mind to someone else. You become a victim. And victims don't terrify people. Victims are easily manipulated. Victims are easily controlled. A strong mind cannot be swayed by blame. It cannot be made to feel guilty for something it didn't do or made to doubt its decisions. It doesn't need to defend itself because it knows its own worth. It knows that blame is just an attempt to make you shrink, to make you question yourself, to take you off your path. A mind so strong it terrifies people doesn't shrink. It doesn't defend itself. It stays steady in the storm of criticism, keeping its focus locked on its mission. A mind that cannot be shaken by praise or blame is unbreakable. It is unwavering, immovable, unstoppable. No matter what the world says, no matter what others think, it stands tall, grounded in its own truth. This is how you build a mind that commands respect. You stop caring about the approval of others, and you stop being consumed by the criticisms that are thrown your way. You stop reacting. You stop playing the game. You become the one who sets the rules. When you detach from praise, you stop needing others to tell you that you're worthy. When you detach from blame, you stop giving others the power to make you feel small. You become free to act according to your own principles, to make decisions based on your own truth, and to move forward without hesitation. And when you start acting from this place, when you are no longer swayed by what others think, you will begin to move with a power that will terrify people. Because a person who is not dependent on praise, who is not crushed by blame, is a force to be reckoned with. They are untouchable. They are relentless. They don't need approval, and they don't need to justify themselves. They are so strong in their own mind that they can walk through the world with an unshakable confidence, knowing that their worth comes from within, not from the judgment of others. And that's the kind of power that will intimidate anyone who comes in your path. When you stop seeking praise and stop accepting blame, you unlock your true power. You stop being a puppet to the opinions of others, and you become the master of your own destiny. You become a force that cannot be stopped, and that, my friend, is how you build a mind so strong it terrifies people. Number 6, win the morning or lose the day. How you start your day dictates everything. The morning is the battlefield, and if you lose it, you've lost the war. It doesn't matter how you perform in the afternoon or evening if you don't take control of the first few hours of your day. You must dominate your morning like a king claiming his throne. If you wake up and let the day dictate you, you will be nothing more than a passive observer in your own life, at the mercy of whatever circumstances, emotions, or distractions come your way. But when you take the reins first thing in the morning, you seize control. You set the tone. You dictate how the day will unfold. And this is how you forge a mind that commands respect, that terrifies everyone who crosses your path. It starts with winning the morning. You wake up and the world is still asleep. This is your moment. It's your chance to get ahead before anyone else even has a chance to react. This is when you can gain the upper hand. The world is quiet, and it's in those precious, silent hours that you must create your strength. Don't hit snooze. Don't roll over and waste your time in the softness of sleep, only to drag yourself out of bed late, unmotivated, and weak. If you do that, you have already surrendered. You have already lost the battle even before it began. Every second you waste in bed is a second the world is moving without you. And every second you let slip away is a moment of power that you could have taken for yourself. You must wake up with purpose. You must wake up with a fire in your soul, with a mindset that says, I own this day. This isn't about waking up early for the sake of waking up early. This is about taking the first step in your battle for control. When you wake up early, you have a head start. You don't allow the world's chaos, distractions, or the demands of others to rush you. You own your time. The morning is when you establish the mindset you will carry with you all day long. It is the mental conditioning that prepares you for the onslaught of challenges, setbacks, and difficulties that will come your way. Without winning the morning, you are unprepared for the war that is the day ahead. You are scrambling, reacting, trying to play catch-up with the clock, with the tasks, with the demands of life. It is only when you wake up and take control, when you make the conscious decision to start your day with strength and purpose, that you begin to forge the mindset of a warrior. A warrior is never passive. A warrior does not wait for the enemy to come to them. They go to battle first. They set the terms. They set the rhythm. That's what the morning gives you. It gives you the chance to decide what your rhythm will be. It's in the morning that you decide how the day will unfold. You decide what will matter, what won't. You decide whether you'll be a victim of circumstances or the creator of your own destiny. You must wake up with the mentality that you will destroy mediocrity in your life. You will not allow yourself to be weak, distracted, or uncertain. If you cannot win your mornings, you are doomed to lose everything. The people who terrify others, the people who inspire respect, they don't waste their mornings. They don't give in to comfort or hesitation. They wake up and dominate. They attack their goals, their routines, and their mindset from the very second they rise. Every moment spent in bed is a moment wasted. Every moment spent dragging yourself through your morning is a moment where you allow the world to dictate your worth. You cannot afford to live that way. You cannot afford to let the day slip away from you, because that is a day that could have been used to build your power, your presence, your strength. Every single successful person you've ever admired has made winning the morning a priority. Every person who has terrified others with their relentless drive and unwavering focus has mastered the art of seizing the first hours of the day. That's because the morning is when you build the strength that will carry you through the rest of the day. The energy you put in, the discipline you demonstrate, the mindset you establish, these will fuel your mind and body through every challenge you face in the hours ahead. This is your foundation. Without it, the rest of your day is like building a house on sand. It won't stand. It will crumble under the pressure. You must wake up with clarity. You must wake up with a plan. You must wake up with a sense of urgency. The morning is not the time to be aimless, to be lost in your thoughts, or to be distracted by the endless noise of the world. It is the time to focus, to hone in on what matters, to be sharp, to be decisive. You must move quickly. You must act with intent. Every moment wasted in hesitation is a moment stolen from your power. When you win the morning, you become a force to be reckoned with. You become unshakable. You become a person who others cannot ignore. Your presence in the world shifts. You stop being a passive observer, a follower, someone who reacts to circumstances. You become someone who creates. You become someone who dominates. You become someone who others are forced to respect, because you carry yourself with the quiet strength of someone who has already conquered the most important battle of the day, the battle for your mind. If you don't wake up with intention, you give in to the noise. You give in to the chaos of the world. You let your feelings dictate your actions. You allow outside forces to control your life. But when you wake up with purpose, you take back that control. You dictate the narrative. You tell the world that you are here to dominate. And that's how you build a mind that terrifies people. Winning the morning is your first step. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you can conquer the morning, you can conquer anything. Because the strength to win the day begins with the decision to wake up, take control, and attack the world with the force of someone who knows exactly who they are, exactly what they want, and exactly how to get it. When you win the morning, you win the day. When you win the day, you win your life. Number 7, master emotional coldness without losing compassion. You must understand one brutal truth. Emotions are the chains that bind most people to mediocrity, to weakness, to failure. Too many of us are slaves to the whims of our emotions, caught up in the chaos of feelings that arise without warning. In those moments, we are vulnerable, fragile, easily manipulated. But a powerful mind, one that commands respect, one that others fear, is not ruled by emotions. It stands firm, unaffected by the storm of feelings that rage around it. This is what I'm talking about when I say, master emotional coldness without losing compassion. This is not a choice. This is a requirement. A mind that is not bound by emotion is free. When you operate from a place of emotional coldness, you remove the influence of fleeting feelings. You do not allow anger to cloud your judgment. You do not let fear paralyze you. You are not swayed by flattery or insult, and yet you remain compassionate. This is not about being indifferent. It's not about being a robot, devoid of empathy or understanding. Compassion is the cornerstone of humanity. But when you wield compassion like a weapon, you do not allow it to dictate your decisions. You use it wisely, carefully. You reserve it for the right moments, for the right people. Too many people let their emotions control them. They allow their feelings to dictate their actions. They fly off the handle when things don't go their way. They get angry, upset, sad, anxious, scared, and in doing so, they lose control. They lose their edge. They become predictable. And predictability is weakness. Predictability is the trap that makes you vulnerable. You want to be dangerous? You want to make people fear you? Then stop letting your emotions run you. Stop reacting. Stop being impulsive. When you master emotional coldness, you learn how to control your feelings. You become a silent force, unshaken, unmovable in the face of chaos. It's a strength that others can't comprehend, and it's terrifying. But make no mistake, this is not about being cold-hearted or callous. Coldness is not about rejecting compassion. It's about knowing when to use it and when to withhold it. Compassion is a tool, and like all tools, it must be used strategically. The problem is that most people give compassion away freely. They offer it without thought, without discipline. They show kindness and sympathy to everyone, regardless of whether it is deserved or necessary. They are ruled by their emotions, swayed by every sob story, every tear, every plea for help. They overextend themselves, and in doing so, they become weak. They become drained. They become easy to manipulate. When you learn to master emotional coldness, you gain the ability to withhold your compassion until it's truly needed. You no longer give away pieces of yourself to every person who asks for it. You choose when and where to invest your energy. You understand that compassion is not an endless well to be tapped. It is a precious resource to be spent wisely. This is the mindset of the strong, the powerful, the terrifying. They do not allow their emotions to dictate their course. They remain calm, collected, and calculated, no matter how chaotic the situation around them. They can make decisions in the heat of the moment without getting caught up in the emotion of it. They can look at a person, see their suffering, and feel sympathy without letting that sympathy cloud their judgment. They can recognize the humanity in others without becoming emotionally entangled in their problems. This is emotional mastery. This is the mind that terrifies people. The person who can feel everything but show nothing. The person who is kind but ruthless. The person who is unflinching in the face of chaos. And let me tell you something, the world will try to break you. It will test you. It will throw obstacles in your path, challenge your patience, and demand that you react. People will try to manipulate you with their emotions. They will try to get a rise out of you, to provoke you into making rash decisions. They will want you to lose control. They will want you to act on impulse, to act on feeling, because that's when they can defeat you. That's when they can bend you. But when you master emotional coldness, you stand firm in the face of these attempts. You do not flinch. You do not get riled up. You do not let anyone play you. You remain a calm, calculating force, knowing exactly how to respond and when. You understand that your power lies in your ability to remain detached from the noise. And when you remain detached, when you are unaffected by emotion, you gain clarity. You see through the distractions. You see the truth beneath the surface. And that truth is often brutal, but it is always real. You see people for who they truly are, not for who they pretend to be. You see opportunities when others are too clouded by emotion to notice them. You see weaknesses and strengths with sharp clarity. This is the mind that terrifies people. The person who is unflappable. The person who can look at the chaos of the world and not only remain calm, but thrive in it. The person who is so emotionally cold that no one can manipulate them, but so compassionate that they know exactly when to strike. This is power. This is control. And this is what you must build if you want to have a mind that others fear. You cannot afford to let your emotions control you. You cannot afford to let your feelings dictate your actions. If you want to become truly powerful, truly terrifying, you must be able to detach from the noise. You must be able to look at the storm and stay dry while others are drenched. This is emotional coldness, and when mastered, it becomes a weapon more powerful than you can imagine. Own everything, blame no one. You want to build a mind so strong it terrifies people? Then you need to own everything. The good, the bad, the mistakes, the triumphs. Most people don't want this. They don't want the weight. They don't want the responsibility. They want someone to blame. They want an scapegoat. A scapegoat. But here's the truth. If you're constantly shifting blame, constantly looking for someone else to blame for your failures or missteps, you're never going to be the one who holds power. You're never going to be the one who controls the outcome. When you live your life blaming others for your situation, you strip yourself of the very thing that makes you dangerous: control. You hand the reins of your destiny to everyone else, and you become a puppet, reacting to the world instead of shaping it. That's how weak minds are created. Minds that collapse at the first sign of adversity. Minds that crumble when things get tough. Minds that have no backbone, no spine, no direction. But if you want to build a mind so strong it terrifies people, then you must own everything. You must look in the mirror and recognize that every decision, every failure, every success, every setback is on you. The moment you take responsibility for everything in your life, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim. You stop playing the blame game. And when you stop playing the blame game, the world begins to tremble. People will see you differently. They'll start to realize that you're the kind of person who doesn't need excuses. You're the kind of person who doesn't need to point fingers when things go wrong. Because when you own everything, you know you are the architect of your life. You built it all. Every moment, every challenge, every opportunity, it was your hand at work. This is the mindset of the true leader, the true conqueror. The one who doesn't wait for circumstances to change, but instead changes the circumstances. You see, weak people need someone to blame. They need to justify their failures. They need an explanation for why things didn't work out. They need to say, it wasn't me, it was them, it was the economy, it was bad luck, it was the system. But you're not weak, you're dangerous. You don't blame, you don't make excuses, you own it. When you own everything, you take the wheel of your own fate. You are the one who decides where you go and how you get there. And when you decide to take ownership of your actions, you become unstoppable. You don't wait for approval. You don't ask for permission. You go and you do. The world tries to knock you down, but you stand taller. You fail, but you learn. You struggle, but you grow. Every setback becomes fuel for your fire. Every failure is a lesson. Every obstacle is just another test of your resolve. And when you rise from the ashes, when you've burned through your mistakes and emerge stronger, people will take notice. They will fear you. Not because you're loud, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you've become someone who can't be moved, someone who won't be stopped. But you can't get there if you're still blaming. You can't get there if you're still holding on to the crutches of excuses. You have to let go of the belief that the world owes you something. You have to let go of the belief that someone else is responsible for your happiness or your success. You must stop pointing the finger and start taking control. Every moment you spend blaming someone else is a moment you waste, a moment you allow yourself to be weak. And every time you let someone off the hook, every time you let them have the power to decide your fate, you give away a piece of your soul. You trade your power for their control. Own everything. Own your mistakes. Own your weaknesses. Own your shortcomings. Own your triumphs. Own your victories. Own your failures. The minute you stop looking outside of yourself for validation, for justification, for someone else to bear the weight, that's the moment you become the most powerful version of yourself. You become someone who doesn't need anyone's permission to succeed. You become someone who doesn't need anyone's approval to move forward. You take action, and you take it now. When you take ownership of your life, you take back your energy, your focus, your time. You stop wasting your precious resources on blaming others. You stop squandering your mental and emotional energy on excuses. You stop letting the world control you, and you begin to control it. People will begin to feel your presence. They will begin to notice that you never make excuses, that you never blame others. They will notice that you're someone who takes action, who moves with purpose, who doesn't let anything stand in their way. They will see your strength, your resolve, and they will know that you're not someone to be trifled with. And that's when you will terrify them. When you own everything, you become the embodiment of power. You stop being at the mercy of circumstances. You stop being a passive observer in your own life. You stop being a victim. You start being the creator. You start being the ruler. And that's what terrifies people. Not because of what you do, but because of who you've become. You've become someone who will never break. Someone who will never crumble, someone who will never bend to anyone else's will. You've become a force of nature. And when the world sees that you've built this strength within yourself, they will be afraid. They will wonder how you've become so unshakable, so relentless, so damn dangerous. And the answer is simple. You've taken full responsibility for everything. You've owned every part of your life. And because of that, you've built a mind that can't be stopped. A mind that terrifies. The world doesn't fear the loud, the weak, the people who blame others for their failures. The world fears the ones who stand firm, who own every mistake, every success, every part of themselves, and rise from it stronger every time. That's how you build a mind so strong it terrifies people. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always being right. It's about owning it all, and knowing that the only person who has the power to change your life is you. It's about taking responsibility and taking action. So stop blaming, start owning. and build a mind that no one can break. Number 9. Think decades, act daily. There are people in this world who think about what they want to eat for lunch, and then there are people who think about what they want to build for the next 50 years. If you want to terrify the world, not with arrogance, not with violence, but with sheer presence, unshakable will, and undeniable clarity, then this is the mindset you must adopt. Think decades, act daily isn't a motto, it's a weapon. It's the mental sword you draw when life throws you into chaos. It's the iron spine that separates the drifters from the dangerous. Because when your vision extends far beyond the fog of the moment, you become immune to distraction. You become unbreakable. Most people live minute to minute, chasing convenience and comfort, bending to every impulse like leaves in the wind. That's why they never become anything worth remembering. They're scattered, short-sighted, and reactive. But not you. Not if you understand what's at stake. Not if you finally get honest with yourself and accept this brutal truth. If you don't think long-term, you will be owned by short-term consequences. You will be enslaved by your appetites, ruled by your fears, and tossed around by the mediocre. You will be easily manipulated, because people who don't know where they're going are easy to lead, usually straight into failure. But when you adopt the discipline of thinking in decades, your life takes on terrifying power. Because now you're playing a different game. You're no longer in the petty arena of instant results and hollow approval. You're building something. You're planning moves 3, 10, 20 years ahead. You're not interested in applause. You're interested in legacy. And that makes you unpredictable. It makes you threatening, because the world doesn't know what to do with someone who isn't begging for immediate gratification. The world panics when it meets someone who doesn't need to be entertained, someone who delays reward for years, someone who acts every single day like the outcome has already been decided and it ends in their victory. But vision without discipline is fantasy. That's why it's not just think decades, it's act daily. This is the anchor. This is where most people collapse. They dream big, but they can't move small. They set 10-year goals, but they can't show up 10 days in a row. Their mind might reach for the stars, but their feet never touch the ground. That's not power. That's delusion. You want to be feared? You want to build a mind so sharp it cuts through noise like a blade? Then you need to master the daily. You need to treat each day like it's a sacred battle. Because it is. Each day is a war for control of your mind, your energy, your time, your soul. Every single day is a vote for who you're becoming. Either you cast that vote consciously, with clarity and fire, or you surrender it to comfort and chaos. No one sees the years you're building. They don't clap when you say no to distractions. They don't celebrate when you choose to suffer for your future. But here's the secret. They'll worship the results. They'll call you disciplined, intense, unstoppable, dangerous. They won't understand how you did it, and they won't know how to stop you. That's what happens when you plant seeds daily and water them with sweat, silence, and sacrifice. One day, they grow into a fortress. And when people show up trying to shake your foundation, they realize too late, you've been unshakable for years. You didn't build this mind yesterday. You built it by grinding in the dark, by bleeding into your habits, by outlasting your weaker self every damn day. To build a mind that terrifies people, you must make time your ally, not your enemy. You must treat the future like it's your responsibility, not your excuse. You must look decades ahead and make decisions today that echo through every year to come. And that means sacrificing the cheap dopamine of now for the iron discipline of purpose. It means acting like your life matters, because it does. It means eliminating the things that dilute your vision and choosing, with ruthless clarity, only what aligns with the person you are becoming. You do not have the luxury of delay. You do not have time to waste. Your future is being built now, brick by brick, decision by decision. And if you're not building it, someone else is building theirs on top of your laziness. Here's what they don't tell you. The strongest minds are forged in monotony. They're built in the quiet hours, in the early mornings, in the moments when no one is watching and every part of you wants to stop. That's when you decide who you are. Not when it's easy. Not when you're motivated. When it's hell. That's where power is made. And if you're serious, if you're tired of being ignored, dismissed, underestimated, then you'll start showing up to that war daily. You'll stop negotiating with excuses. You'll stop living like time is infinite. You'll stop worshiping convenience and start serving your mission. The people with the most terrifying minds are not loud. They're not flashy. They don't need attention. Their presence is felt, not announced. And do you know why? Because they live every day like it counts. They think years ahead. They act now. And when the storm comes, they don't move. They've already trained for it. When the pressure rises, they stay calm. They've already visualized worse. When everything falls apart, they smile. They've been building through disaster from the beginning. This mindset, this code, it's not easy, it's not trendy, it's not fun. But it works. And if you embrace it, if you stop running from responsibility and start owning your destiny, then no one will be able to ignore you again. You will speak less and be heard more. You will move quieter and command more respect. You will think farther and win more battles. You will terrify the world not with threats but with truth. And the truth is this: you built yourself when no one else believed in you. You stayed the course when others quit. You did the work daily. And now you stand tall, relentless, focused, untouchable. Number 10. Never be the loudest voice in the room. Be the most dangerous one. Power does not announce itself. Strength does not need permission. The most dangerous man in any room is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who does not need to. His presence alone shifts the atmosphere. His silence is not submission, it is a weapon. His restraint is not weakness, it is control. He speaks only when it is necessary, and when he does, people listen. They listen because they know his words are not cheap. They listen because they feel the weight behind them. They listen because he has built himself into someone whose presence demands attention without ever begging for it. The weak think that power is in volume. They think that respect is won by being the loudest, the most aggressive, the most visible. But real power is quiet. It is precise. It is deliberate. The moment you open your mouth just to be heard, you have already lost. You have proven that you need validation, that you are still seeking approval, that you are ruled by the same insecurities as the rest. And a man ruled by insecurity is a man easily controlled. That is why the world does not fear the loud. It fears the calculated. It fears the man who does not waste words, the man who listens more than he speaks, the man who does not react but watches, measures, decides, the man whose silence is a storm waiting to break. That is the mind you must build if you want to terrify people. Not by force, not by intimidation, but by mastery. Mastery over yourself, over your emotions, over your reactions, over your need to prove anything to anyone. You walk into a room and you say nothing, but people feel you. They sense something different, something they cannot place but cannot ignore. They watch you because you are unreadable, because you are not desperate for attention but command it anyway, because you do not move unless there is a purpose behind it. You are dangerous because you do not need to be noticed, because you are fully in control of yourself while they are still struggling to control their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own desperate need to be important. A weak man shouts to be seen. A strong man moves in silence and is felt. The difference is in discipline, in patience, in the ruthless refusal to give away your power just to feed your ego. Most people do not have this discipline. They are slaves to the impulse to be recognized, to be admired, to be validated. And so they talk. They fill the air with noise, hoping that if they say enough, if they are loud enough, people will finally take them seriously. But the more they speak, the more they reveal their desperation. The more they show that their words are unbacked by action. The more they make it clear that their voice is all they have, because they have not done the work to build something stronger. But you are different. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to convince anyone of your strength. You do not need their validation. You do not need to be the center of attention, because you know the truth. The strongest minds do not seek the spotlight. They move in its shadow, controlling everything without ever needing to stand in front of the crowd. They shape the battlefield without announcing their strategy. They are the ones who decide the course of action while others are still trying to prove themselves. That is real power, and it terrifies people because it is untouchable. because it cannot be manipulated, because it does not seek approval, and so it cannot be threatened by rejection. You must become that kind of man. The kind who does not speak just to be heard. The kind who does not waste his breath on those who do not matter. The kind who holds his words like a blade, sharp and dangerous, used only when necessary. And when you do speak, it is not to argue. It is not to convince. It is to end the discussion, to make the decision, to set the direction, and then you fall silent again because there is nothing more to say. That is the presence that commands respect. That is the presence that makes people nervous. That is the presence that forces even the most arrogant men to lower their voices when they speak to you. Because they know, they can feel, that you are not like the rest. You do not seek their approval. You do not need their validation. You are already certain of who you are, and that certainty is terrifying to those who are still trying to find themselves. This is the mind you must build. A mind that is disciplined enough to hold its tongue until speaking is necessary. A mind that does not react to provocation because it is too focused on strategy. A mind that is immune to the need for attention because it operates on a level above the noise. That is the mind that commands rooms without saying a word. That is the mind that makes people take a step back when you enter. That is the mind that holds power without having to demand it. And that is the mind that will set you apart from every other man who is still trying to be the loudest voice in the room, not realizing that the loudest voice is never the most dangerous one. The loudest voice belongs to the insecure. The loudest voice belongs to the one who needs to be heard. But the most dangerous one, the one they should truly fear, is the man who does not need to be loud. The man who does not need to be seen. The man who controls everything without making a sound. Be that man, build that mind, and watch as the world learns to fear your silence more than it ever feared their noise. We have more interesting videos about Stoicism and the way of life. If you want to watch a video about 7 smart ways to make people take you seriously, please click link above in the video. If you like the video, or you don't want to miss further videos about Stoicism, please subscribe. Number 11. Practice negative visualization. Expect the worst. Train for it. To build a mind so strong, you must stare directly into the jaws of chaos and refuse to flinch. You must make peace with every possible disaster. You must imagine every loss, every betrayal, every failure, every nightmare, and then train yourself to endure it. Not just survive it. Master it. This is where most people lose. This is where the world breaks weak minds into dust, because they never trained for the storm. They walked through life hoping for sunshine, praying the wind wouldn't blow too hard, begging for ease. They built their lives on the illusion of permanence, comfort, and control. And then the world reminded them how cruel it can be. And they crumbled, because they never expected the worst. And so they never trained for it. That's where you must become different. That's where you sharpen the weapon inside your skull. You want to terrify people with the strength of your mind? Practice negative visualization. Expect the worst. Train for it like it's coming tomorrow, because one day it will. You must develop the brutal courage to imagine loss before it happens. You must picture your business failing, your reputation ruined, your health broken, your family taken from you. You must walk through those shadows in your mind, not to torture yourself, but to liberate yourself. Because the second you can face the worst and say, "I will not collapse," you've made yourself untouchable. That's what the Stoics knew. That's what Marcus Aurelius practiced every night before battle. That's what Epictetus taught as a slave who had nothing and lost everything. They didn't fantasize about things going right. They visualized everything going wrong and prepared their minds to remain unmoved. When you visualize the worst, you do something most people are too soft, too scared, too distracted to do. You face reality. You stop pretending. You stop hiding behind hope. You stop being seduced by the fairy tale society feeds the weak. You wake up to the fact that at any moment, everything can be taken from you. That nothing is promised. That you control nothing except your own reaction. And when that hits you, when it sinks into your bones, when you finally understand that all comfort is temporary and all safety is a myth, you unlock something ruthless inside you. You stop waiting to be rescued. You stop depending on ideal circumstances. You stop being shocked by pain. You stop whining when life punches you in the mouth. Instead, you train for it. You expect it. You dare it. And when it comes, you look it in the face and say, I was built for this. Most people live in denial. They avoid the dark thoughts. They refuse to think about death. They don't want to imagine what would happen if it all went wrong. And so they walk through life fragile, exposed, soft. Their minds are weak because they never test them. Their hearts are cowardly because they never confront the truth. But when you practice negative visualization, you do the opposite. You lean into the darkness. You mentally rehearse catastrophe, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. And every time you do it, your mind gets stronger. You stop fearing what might happen because you've already lived it. You've already felt the loss in your bones. You've already faced the pain in your imagination. And now, if it comes, you're ready. You don't panic. You don't fall apart. You execute. This is why your mind begins to terrify people. Because when others are screaming, you're calm. When they're unraveling, you're focused. When they're in shock, you're already moving. Because you visualized it, you trained for it, you turned it over in your mind until it lost its power to paralyze you. And now, while others are drowning in fear, you're commanding the storm. That level of composure, that terrifying stillness in the middle of chaos, comes from deliberate, disciplined preparation. You built it, and now it separates you from every other man who hoped life would be easier instead of making himself harder. And don't mistake this for negativity. It's not. It's the purest form of mental strength. It's clarity. It's readiness. It's fire in the soul that refuses to be caught off guard. When you expect the worst, you strip life of its power to shock you. You're no longer a slave to circumstance. You've already faced death, failure, loss, isolation in your mind and survived it. And now nothing can shake you. Nothing surprises you. You walk through life armored because you've already bled in the arena of your own thoughts. So how do you train this? You sit in silence and you go there. You think of what would happen if you lost your income, if your friends turned on you, if your body broke down, if your enemies triumphed. You don't run from the discomfort. You embrace it. You ask yourself, could I endure that? And if the answer is no, you train. You strengthen the part of you that refuses to fold. You build the steel frame in your spirit that will not be moved. And you do this over and over until you've seen hell in your mind and built the strength to walk through it with your head high. That's how the ancients built empires without ever fearing ruin. That's how warriors walked into battle knowing they might never return. Calm, ready, ruthless. That's how you build a mind that terrifies people. Not because you're angry, not because you're loud, but because you've trained in silence to endure anything. And now your enemies look at you and realize they can't break you. They can't rattle you. They can't even scare you. Because you already went there and came back stronger. That kind of mind is not born. It is forged. It is tempered in the furnace of brutal honesty and relentless preparation. It doesn't hope for mercy. It trains for war. It doesn't beg for comfort. It adapts to pain. It doesn't seek escape. It hunts down hardship and learns to dominate it. So when the worst comes, and it will, you won't ask, why me? You'll say, let's begin. Expect the worst. Visualize it. Bleed for it in your thoughts. And when reality strikes, you'll walk through it with the mind of a warrior. Calm, cold, unshaken. That's the power of negative visualization. That's how you become a force. That's how you terrify the world, by becoming the one man who is never caught off guard, never broken, never surprised. Because you trained for it, you chose it, and now you are ready. Number 12, build a code and die before breaking it. To build a mind so strong it terrifies people, you need something most have abandoned. Something the modern world has mocked, ignored, diluted, and left behind in the dust of convenience, comfort, and chaos. You need a code, not a checklist, not some fluffy self-help mantra. A code, a personal constitution, a non-negotiable set of principles that defines who you are, what you do, and what you refuse to become. Without it, you're nothing. You're a leaf in the wind. You go where the pressure pushes you. You speak what others expect you to say. You fold when things get hard. You betray yourself one compromise at a time until there's nothing left but a hollow shell chasing approval, chasing peace, and never finding either. You want to terrify people with your mind? Then build a code and die before breaking it. This isn't about looking righteous. It's about becoming unbreakable. It's about planting your flag so deep in the ground that no storm, no critic, no setback, no temptation can rip it from your hands. It's about living by something so intensely that even if the world turns its back on you, you keep walking forward. Because you know who you are. You've already made the decision. You've already drawn the line. You've already said, "This is who I am. This is what I stand for, and nothing moves me, nothing breaks me, nothing owns me." But this kind of code doesn't fall from the sky. You have to forge it. You have to rip it out of your soul. You have to bleed for it. You have to suffer for it. You have to lose for it. Because until you've been tempted to compromise and said no, your code means nothing. Until you've had the chance to cut corners and chose the hard path, you're still unproven. Until you've been tired, afraid, desperate, and still refuse to break, you are not ready. But when you finally draw that line in the sand and say, "This is my standard. I don't go below it. Not for anyone, not for anything, not ever," something changes in you. You walk differently. You think differently. People can feel it. They might not understand it, but they'll respect it. Even your enemies will feel it. Because they know you're not playing the same game anymore. You're not bending. You're not pandering. You're not trying to please or impress. You are operating from a deeper place, a place they can't reach because they've never built it. That's why it terrifies people, because they live in a world of performance and you live by conviction. They chase optics, you chase truth. They mold their words to fit the crowd. You mold your life to fit your values, and that makes you dangerous. Because people can't control someone with a code. They can't manipulate you. They can't bait you. They can't buy you. You've become sovereign. And in a world full of hollow men wearing masks, you become a mountain, silent, steady, immovable. But let me be clear, this won't make your life easier. It will make it harder. Because when you live by a code, you become a threat. You expose everyone who doesn't. Your presence becomes a mirror. You remind people of what they're not willing to do, of the lines they've crossed, of the integrity they've traded for acceptance, comfort, or gain. They will hate you for it. But it won't matter, because you didn't build your code for them. You built it for you, for the man in the mirror, for the nights when you're alone with your choices, for the days when things fall apart and you have to decide, will I hold the line or will I sell my soul? Because in the end, that's what it comes down to. Your code is the one thing you can't afford to lose. You can lose money, you can lose status, you can lose relationships, you can lose the entire world. But if you lose your code, you lose yourself. And there's no coming back from that. That's why I say, die before breaking it. Mean it. Burn it into your DNA. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you won't tolerate something, don't. If you say this is who I am, then be that person even when it hurts, even when it costs you, even when no one claps for you. That's power. That's real freedom. That's how you terrify people. Not by screaming, not by dominating, but by living with such ruthless alignment to your principles that people don't know what to do with you. You become untouchable because you've already made the hardest decision to honor your code above everything else. Every time you honor it, your mind gets stronger. Every time you hold the line, your soul grows heavier, more solid. You become more than just a person. You become a force. That's what Stoicism taught us. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they didn't preach feel-good quotes. They lived by unshakable principles. They suffered. They bled. They endured. But they never broke. Because their code wasn't a theory, it was a weapon. And if you want to build a mind that cuts through noise, that commands respect without words, that holds ground while others fall apart, you must carry the same fire. And you must guard it with your life. In this world, your code is the only armor that never cracks, your only sword that never dulls. Every moment you betray it, you chip away at your soul. But every time you hold to it, no matter the price, you forge something indestructible. So build a code, one that reflects who you are and who you're becoming. One that demands discipline, strength, and courage. One that leaves no room for weakness, excuse, or self-betrayal. And then, live by it so fiercely that if the world ever tries to make you bend, you'd rather die on your feet than live on your knees. That's the mind that terrifies people. Because it's free. Because it's powerful. Because it cannot be moved. And because when you speak, act, and live with that kind of conviction, no one dares to question what you're capable of. Till the next time, stay strong and live wisely.